What is up, beautiful people of the internet? I go by the name of Wesley, and today we are reacting to Why Robots That Bend Are Better by Veritasium. I have no idea. I didn't even know that flexible robots were really a thing. I always think, Arnold Schwarzenegger Terminator, who doesn't exactly scream flexibility. And the Terminator itself doesn't scream flexibility. And my first example of a robot was literally an actor and also the governor of California in a past weird fever dream. You probably know that I don't have a ton of knowledge and experience about robotics, but I'm super excited to get into this and check it out. It's by a channel called Veritasium, so let's go.
These are soft robots. Their structural components are built not out of metal or wood, but flexible materials like plastic tubing. But how do they work? And why would you want a soft robot in the first place?
It's the same reason that you would want a soft boy. These robots are clearly more compassionate and more caring. But there's something much more disconcerting about seeing them move. If you guys have ever seen videos of sea life at really deep depths, the way that these robots move, the soft robots, reminds me a lot about how that aquatic life moves. And there's something that's incredibly unsettling about it because it doesn't follow the same norms or movement patterns that you would expect from like a boned creature or just your standard land dweller. I don't know.
This video was sponsored by
that's
Kiwi.
so disconcerting for some reason.
Their robots at the end of the show. So I came up to Stanford to meet Zach Hammond and his soft robot.
How's it going?
The phrase soft robot is just so weird.
So is the idea that the robot could walk this way?
Totally, yeah. So you can kind of chain these rolls together to kind of roll around in any environment.
That's really cool, but I think that this whole thing is just an elaborate project to try to one-up Link from The Legend of Zelda. Because this is not a Triforce, it's like a Quad Force. There's 4 triangles that create the structure of the robot, and he's just like, no, Link! Fuck your Triforce! We're going Quad Force!
Any environment. They call this punctuated rolling locomotion, wherein it's kind of stuck on a face until it tips over, and now it's on a new face.
That's kind of cool.
It can then continue to move its center of gravity. Once that center of gravity exits the support polygon, or the base, then it tips over one of the edges of the face.
So this is a different soft robot.
This one's the creepiest to me.
Tubing. It was designed to mimic the way a turtle walks, where diagonally opposite legs move together.
That's why it's got a little
It's powered entirely
shake
by
to its
compressed
step.
air. And perhaps most impressive, it requires no electronics. All of the circuitry is pneumatic. And this means the robot can be used in places like mines, where electronics could spark explosions.
What?
Or in the strong magnetic fields around MRI machines.
That's really cool.
But why would you want a soft robot in the first place?
One of the things that I like to do is just to take the robot and kind of like beat it up a little bit, show how it's compliant and compressive.
Well, because they're safer.
If you'd like to take a whack at it, feel free.
You're like, okay, we know for a fact that our dominant AI overlords are in fact going to be coming in the future. So, if we give them cute, cuddly exoskeleton, when they're hitting us, we'll be able to live because we'll be there, we'll have been enslaved by the new robot race as long as that new robot race is nice and cushionly exteriored. When they're beating us for being unproductive in the mana farms, at least we'll live. If it was a hard metallic robot, we would be dead because we're soft and squishy. Solution, big brain Stanford, make the robots even more soft and squishy.
But I don't think this is your work. I don't want to break it
5D
off.
chess!
Feel free, go for it.
For operation around humans, there's not much damage a soft robot can do to you.
It looks like a kid's toy, like those bouncers kids
can
walk
stand
around
on
in.
these?
Yep.
This is a pretty crazy compliant robot.
It's also supportive.
Because the fundamental structure of this robot is compliant, there's only some maximum force that it could ever exert on me. So it's inherently safe to be
Might need to work on
operating
those
around
kicks.
people.
Could we make it fall and have me be inside it?
Yeah, we could do that for sure. Just watch your head.
Yep, if I go over here.
If you're there, yeah, we can do that.
All right, let's try it.
This is really cool.
Here it comes. Well, that's not bad at all, is it?
I can try.
That was
another
anticlimactic.
shape that's supposed to open up one of the faces so you can jump out of it quickly.
Okay.
I haven't tested it in a little while, so
Sure.
I don't know how it's gonna go. But let's try this. There you go. That's their face right there to your right, and you can exit the truss from that face.
Boom.
Perfect.
Just that easy. Did you build this by yourself?
Me and one other grad student built this entire thing ourselves, basically.
That's really
How
cool.
long did it take?
We did it in about a month, I want
What?
to say, like actually constructing everything.
And was it tricky? I mean, were you sewing that stuff?
Yep, we sewed this all ourselves.
The main structural members of this
DIY who? The whole DIY side of YouTube is quaking right now. Stanford Robotics Institute is coming for you guys. You're done. You just retired.
robot are fabric tubes inflated with air.
Yeah, so these red tubes are a nylon fabric, and then internally there is a polyethylene tube that provides the airtightness.
The tubes are inflated to about 6 psi above atmospheric, so it's almost 1.5 atmospheres. Each tube passes through pairs of rollers connected to a motor. The rollers pinch the tube so it bends kind of like a pinched straw.
The rods, and then we have this like high friction material wrapped around the rods. And then that coupled with the fact that we have this pressurized tube that's kind of pushing the membrane of the tube into the rollers prevents us from slipping.
By driving the motor, it changes the lengths of the tubes.
Whoa.
Kind of like when a clown
Okay, now
creates
that's
a
sick.
twist in a balloon and then folds that balloon into a balloon animal. The difference between what the clown does and what we do is that there's some passage of air between adjacent segments of the tube so that as the robot drives around, we're not pressurizing the segments of the tube.
This robot is made of 4 inflated tubes, each one connected to a pair of motors, forming triangular sides.
We also think that they kind of look like sausage links when put together, which is why we've named these robots after different sausages. So this one's called Polish. That one over there is chorizo. There's a linguiça and a kielbasa over there somewhere.
So what
Kielbasa?
shape is the overall thing? It's an octahedron?
Yeah, we call it an octahedron because if you drew lines between these kind of kinematic joints here, it would create an octahedral shape.
Driving the
Sorry,
motors
Link.
together allows the
Triforce is
robot
lame.
to dramatically change shape. It can get very tall
That's really cool.
or short and squat. But since the tubes themselves don't change in length, the overall perimeter of the robot, the length of all the edges combined,
It looks like one of those videos where you have people on a field and they're all making shapes, doesn't it kind of? Or like a cheer squad or something?
doesn't change. So the robot is considered isoparametric.
That's really cool.
How do you feel when you watch those Boston Dynamics videos?
Oh, I love those videos. They're so cool.
The Boston Dynamics robots are kind of terrifying. Like,
They
it's the
are.
idea with soft robots to like convince people that robots are good and soft and kind.
Oh,
and
no!
That's
safe.
definitely true.
So this is all PR for the AI overlords? I thought we were trying to change the structure. That's not
There are
good.
some things that
We're like, no, robots are your friend. Then the Boston Dynamics robot dog comes and just eats your
you
face.
can do to rigid systems to make them feel like compliant systems based on how you're controlling the motors. But yeah, they're definitely, heavy, expensive, and can be dangerous if they're not used correctly.
The hard robots we're used to are strong and precise. Their actions are accurate and repeatable. But they are also heavy, and they can't really change their volume as
Looks like they're
dramatically.
sneaking,
But this
sneaking,
robot
sneaking.
is still capable of carrying a heavy
Oh,
load.
wow.
So I have a GUI in MATLAB that
nice.
enables...
All the gym bros out there are like, heavyweight? I didn't see it doing the big plates on a bench press. The big plates, those were a 10 and a 5. Everyone's like, heavyweights? A 15? All the gym bros are
You should
quaking.
just put in the
45
positions that I
pound
want
plates
the
or you're a
robots to move,
baby!
for instance, and then send them out. There's some other functionality. I have some stored configurations to send to the robots.
Soft robots also have the advantage of shape changing. They can become tall to go over obstacles or short to fit under obstructions.
So if
Why
there
was
was
there a
some
basketball?
rock that it didn't see or that it wanted to roll over, it could simply do that, and the compliance of the tubes would simply just bend around that disturbance.
Do you imagine robots like this doing work in space?
Oh yeah, definitely. So one of the nice things about these types of structures is that they can shrink down their volume.
Oh, that's really
drastically.
cool.
And because volume
Couldn't they be
on
popped,
rockets
though?
is such an expensive premium, being
Isn't the main issue with this type of material, especially his example, which is filled with air, that if they were rolling on a different type of terrain, like a rocky terrain, let's say Mars, and they rolled over something sharp, that they could pop? Or that would be a real concern, wouldn't it?
Being able to have a robot that can pack down small for transport is very valuable.
That is really cool,
so NASA
though.
was at one point looking into truss robots for exactly that reason. And they've contacted us since we've made this robot to explore different ideas for space exploration projects. So one of the things that they're thinking about doing is deploying robots underneath a sheet of ice. So they're going to drill through this sheet of ice and then deposit a robot
That's
through
cool.
what is kind of a small diameter hole. And so if you can have a robot that can change its volume very drastically or be disassembled and then reassembled to form like a much larger structure, then you can have
really cool.
large robots that are able to fit through these tight spaces and be deployed in kind of difficult to access areas.
Is this a little bit like an octopus? Is that
Yeah!
There is some connection there because they use their shape-changing ability
Definitely.
and compliance to squeeze through tight passageways and then also to wrap their body around objects. So for example, they can open jars with their tentacles. And one of the things that we want to use this robot for is grasping and manipulating.
Guys, octopuses are scary. I read a conspiracy theory once. It wasn't a conspiracy theory, let's be honest. It was like, I don't know what the bar is. Conspiracy theory, fan fiction, which one is more plausible or believable at all? I read one of those two things, and it was this guy who was just like speculating. He was like, the real aliens are already here. The real aliens are already here, brother. Have you ever looked in the ocean? Those octopus. Octopus are the real aliens. They don't look like anything else in the world, brother. You see how they move? They can change their color. There's some robots that are more intelligent than us. We just haven't caught those, again, because they're more intelligent than us. The aliens are here, brother.
This robot is
And I kind of-
capable of picking.
That's why the basketball's there. I'm kind of like, octopus are insane. They're so smart. They can do so many things. We don't even understand all the things octopus can do.
objects up off the ground.
That's cool.
We'll try that and see if we can grab it.
Michael Jordan,
Because
watch
the
yourself.
compliance Of the
Another
tube
300
has a
years,
natural
we're
ability
coming for
to
you.
grasp and manipulate objects because as it does so,
That's
the
actually
tubes
really
bend
cool.
ever so slightly, which increases the contact area and distributes evenly the forces that are exerted on that object.
So I mean, is the biggest risk if it pops?
Yeah, that's a big risk. I mean, you obviously need the compressed air for your structure, and
Yeah.
so if you have a leak,
Oh! Aw.
then you don't have a robot, right?
Yeah.
It's a pretty big drawback of soft robots.
You know, some things that
Well,
you could,
I mean, plastic wouldn't have the same drawback. I guess if the compressed air wasn't pressurizing it, okay, I take it back because the consistent theme with the different soft robots is they're usually pressurized, and that's how they're either getting their movement or getting their structure, right?
do to mitigate that would be to have on board a small compressor, which
Mm.
isn't there to provide power to the robot, but would help you maintain pressure if there were any small leaks.
When you tell someone you're working on a robot and they see this, does it defy expectations?
Totally. They have no idea what it is I'm talking about until I show them like a video or a picture. I think most people's conception of soft robots was really expanded by the movie Big Hero 6. And I think they did a great job in kind of showcasing what a soft robot can do and why they're useful, and kind of just popularizing the notion.
I bet the people who's like, hey, I'm working on a robot. And they're like, oh, that's so sick. Can I see it? And he shows them the picture, and it looks like this. And they're like, bro, this looks like a really complicated assortment of like what people who are working construction put out on the road at night so that you don't hit them to shut the lane down. It's like, is that a robot, or are you just trying to seem cool and you're working on like traffic ornamentation? Every girl on Tinder's like, okay, buddy, you're just bigging yourself up to try to get in my pants.
Movie Big Hero 6. And I think they did a great job in kind of showcasing what a soft robot can do and why they're useful, and kind of just popularizing the notion. It's really great to have compliance built into any mechanical system, especially as we want robots to work closer and closer with humans. So I think we'll definitely see more soft robots in the future.
That's really cool.
Hey, this video was sponsored by KiwiCo.
That was super cool, actually. I wonder what the future of robotics is going to hold. I'm sure they'll keep doing normal, quote unquote, hard robots, right? And soft robots on the side. It's interesting because when you start to get into like some of the movement patterns for soft robots, for some reason they start to look a lot more organic. And it's interesting because I could see a conceptual, like the future seems like it would eventually, because there's pros and cons to hard robots, there's pros and cons to soft robots. And if you look at us, we're kind of, or just most organic matter, especially on land, is kind of an amalgamation of hard and soft robot movement and functionality, with the hard on the inside, soft on the outside, or in an exoskeleton, right? It's the hard on the outside, soft on the inside. So I'm super curious because these robots give you can probably go the full gambit and have like hybridized that's right in the middle, to full soft in some functionalities that require that, full hard in some functionalities that require that. So it's really cool to just think about running the full gambit just for utilitarian sake. But the thing is, it's weird because it's also super, the other question I have is, as we get better and better, and well, scientists is not we. I'm like, as we, I am also a human, so I get credit for the scientists who do all the work. No, as scientists and roboticists, and even, I don't even know what the field of study would be called, but there's a field of study with like growing, lab-grown biological materials or tissue, right? I wonder how much they would be able to actually take that biological tissue and use it in the structure of robots in the future, as it becomes much more energy efficient and cheaper and just time efficient to grow those materials, right? In like a petri dish. So could they eventually have like a legitimate Terminator that they use biological tissue for, but they have the skeleton made of a robot, metal, right? Or something like that. I don't know. It's really interesting. The soft robots definitely give me a more of like an Uncanny Valley feeling, where I'm sort of like, kind of moves like it's an animal or a human, but it's not quite, and it messes with my mind. That being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. I am Wesley. For more reaction, make sure you subscribe down below. I will see you guys next time. Take care of yourself. Hasta mañana or luego, or whenever it is. Yeah. Bye.